people misunderstand about you the most?
Well, the biggest one is that most people think that you've got to be like, I don't know, like a superstar in the business world before you come and have a shoot. I think they think it's something, a branding photography shoot. I think they think that's like super important that like big people do, and don't realize that it's something you should do at any stage in your business, and it can help you along the way. So that's a big misunderstanding. I think some people just think branding means that I take pictures of like their products. I think sometimes people get confused with that and don't really get what the branding. I think there's still a lot of people that still listen to like headshot photo shoot. I think they think that's how they understand it better. It's headshots, but obviously it isn't. Branding so much more than that. So yeah, people get a little bit confused there.
So unpack it for us then. What is the power behind having professional photos done for your brand? Why should someone who's at the start of their journey consider this as a serious investment to make early on and not wait until later on?
Because it is just going to give you that better look. We're in such a visual world now with social media. Like everyone's scrolling through pictures. Like no one ever just puts like a blank post, like just a caption post anymore. Everything's got to have a photo with it. Everything's got to have a visual. We're visual people, and you just need to stand out. It's like a busy space out there, and you need to have something that's going to catch people's eyes. And when you're just first starting out, like it isn't really just going to cut it to be able to just have whatever photo you've had knocking around for the last 5 years that you think, oh, that's all right, that shows people what I look like. It's got to do so much more than that. Your photos are not just to show people what you look like. It's to tell them about you, and so they can get to know you. And that's just so important. And the quicker you can do that when you're starting out in business, like the better and the quicker you're going to grow, because you're going to get those ideal clients. And you don't always realize that when you first start out in business. Like back in the day when I first started out, the most important thing you had to get was a business card and a website. Like that's what you thought was the most important things to do. And it's just not what you need at all. Like I don't even have business cards anymore. Like
burn the business cards, burn them.
I used to be so proud to get like your little pack from Moo Cards or something and just like, look at my business cards. And no, it's just you've got to get your personality out there. That's what's going to set you apart. And the sooner you can do that, the better. And a branding photo shoot is going to help you do that like tenfold. It's going to put it like on hyperdrive for you.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because the majority of people that you're going to meet in the modern world of marketing is going to be online. Is, you know, the chance of being able to give your business card to someone is actually the minority of people, because you've got to actually physically meet them, right? Or you've got to send something in the post that includes your business card. So it's like, it's not even that it's just rubbish. Business cards are bad for the environment. They have no leverage at all. But it's also the fact that actually most of the people that you meet are going to be online. So LinkedIn works really well as a business card these days, but you're right. It's not like a case of, oh yeah, I've got these really cool business cards. They've got metallic on them or they're embossed. And, you know, you want to create these business cards that stand out. Now you've got to make your online profile stand out, because your online profile is your business card, right? It is that thing that you have to connect with people, that's got your information and your details on, and a bit of social proof that you are actually a real business owner, and that you are professional and you do exist. And so what you're saying is that, you know, we need to make that digital kind of business card, for want of a better word, stand out so that people actually recognize it. Because just like when were in the world of business cards, you might have a drawer full of thousands of them. I've actually met people that have got a drawer. I said to this lady once, I said, have you got an email list? And she said, no, but, and she pulled out this massive box full of business cards. You know, it's just mental. So yeah, but just like you might have had thousands of business cards back in the day. Now we've got thousands of, you know, connections on LinkedIn, for instance. So how do you stand out? So Katie, what is the key to standing out then? Like if you're gonna be online and catching someone's attention, what is the key to doing that? Like what are the core things that people need to think about?
So the most important thing, although we're talking about standing out, it's not just standing out for standing out's sake. Like, don't just go and be like outrageous or whatever for the sake of a photograph. You've got to stand out being yourself. So you need to understand yourself. You need to know what your personality is. You need to know who you want to attract to your business, what your vibe is. And that can be anything. Like people worry about that. I think saying standing out and, you know, don't be boring and say no to boring headshots doesn't mean you have to be anything that you're not. But you just need to know what you are, so that and you can put that like to the forefront and really make the most of that. And that is sometimes where you need a photographer to help pull that out, because you might then say, oh, this is my personality, but I've got zero clue how that translates to a photograph. That's where a photographer will help you get the creativity in that to show that off. But yeah, it's standing out as your true self. So you've got to really understand yourself. And I think we know what we're about, but until you do the work to like dig in and figure out your values and your core belief and all that kind of stuff, like you need to take the time to work that out, because then that's what's going to help you stand out. That's what's going to give, certainly for me, I need that information to be able to create photographs of substance that you're excited about, that you then feel confident in posting as well, because that's a big part of it too. You've got to feel great about the photograph that you're putting up. So it can't be anything that you're not.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many places you can start delving into this, by the way. If you're listening to this and you're like, well, how do I start on that journey? Where do I start discovering who I am, what my values are, and all of this kind of stuff? There's a lot of work that's been put into things like personality testing, such as Myers-Briggs, 16personalities.com. Go there, get a personality test. There's also things like the DISC model. The DISC model is more about behavior. We've actually got a training in the Rebellious Business Network from Nikki V about that. If you want the link to that, just DM me the word DISC on Instagram at cordelia.kate and I will hook you up with that. Really, really interesting training. But then there's also other things. There's things like numerology. Numerology is really interesting, delving into the vibration of your name and you know, your date of birth and your life path. If you're into spirituality, that can be a whole can of worms to start looking into that one. But there are lots of things that you can do. One of the easiest ways to go and get a DISC assessment, if you want one, is to go to Tony Robbins's website. And in the footer of his website, there's a link that goes to get a DISC assessment. You'll be entered onto his mailing list, etc. But it's the only place where I found kind of like a half decent DISC assessment that's free to do, because normally it's sort of a paid thing that corporate people do. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing to start diving into. You know, who am I? What makes me up as a person? And a lot of it comes through your experiences and, you know, the values that you've created through the experiences that you've had. But what I really love about what you said there, Katie, is that it's not about being crazy. Okay. And I think that people might look at my photos and see all the smoke bombs that we've done. And, you know, like there's photos of me have paint splattered all over me because I'm trying to like put my middle finger up at corporate and, you know, that whole remove the professional mask thing. But you don't need to do that, right? And I think the best way to explain it or describe it is to say you want to be the wildest, most extreme version of you. And that doesn't mean you need to be wild or extreme. That just means that we need to be the wildest, most extreme version of you. And what I heard you say, Katie, when you were speaking recently, might have been at the Rebellious Business Network or another event, potentially both. What I heard you say was, you know, if you're vanilla,
yeah, do
vanilla really well. Exactly. I think it would be good to like dive into that point.
Be the zhuzhiest version of that. So yeah. Vanilla. There's nothing wrong with being vanilla, but if you're gonna have vanilla, like don't get Asda own brand. You want to go and get like M&S, Waitrose, I don't know what kind of beans.
Cornish.
Yeah, we'll keep it proper. But like, yeah, get like the macadamia beans that have been, I don't know, picked by Himalayan monks or something. Like, get the best version of it to make it sumptuous and unctuous and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's the best vanilla you want if you're going to go vanilla. So yeah, just make it, yeah, you want to be just the best version of it. And yes, you're right, people do see your photographs and go, oh God, I could never do that. And that's absolutely fine, because that's not right for their brand. And that's what you do when you get prepped for a shoot, is to find out the best way of doing it. And you can kind of make smoke bombs work for most people, but it's just in different layers and different ways. And you just have to find the best bits. I know some people get excited and go like, oh yeah, I really want to do that. And you're like, that's just not you though. That's not, I'm sorry, there can be no smoke bombs for you because it's not going to work. But you've got to know what you're about and just, yeah, make it the very best version of you. You on your very best day, like 110%.
Yeah, and it depends. It really comes down to the kind of vibe you want to give off and the way you want to make people feel in your brand, right? Because
Definitely.
if let's say, for instance, you're a spiritual teacher or you're a yoga instructor or you're, you know, a breath worker, you know, your vibe is going to probably be quite calming, quite deep, quite, enlightening, or I don't know, there's going to be this kind of deep tone to what you do, but it's not going to be crazy and loud and, you know, explosions, etc. But the thing is with smoke, I mean, smoke comes in lots of different forms. You've got raging fires that are really aggressive, smoke. And you've also got like sage smudging, which is like spiritual smoke, right? It like comes in different formats. So I guess you're right. You can make it work. But it's about the tone, isn't it? It's about how do you want people to feel?
Yeah, definitely. That is the most important bit. Definitely. It's like, how do you want them to feel? What do you want them to think and react to when they see those images of you? And putting that into it. So as you say, like a yoga instructor would be way more tranquil and way more serene, whereas someone else wants to go crazy and like, go really nuts with the energy. It just depends on the energy and the vibe that they are about.
Okay, so let's say that someone listening right now is like, I need these photos. Like, I need to get some photos done. I think we need to talk about two options. Like, one person that is ready to invest in themselves and get a photo shoot. How can they get in touch with you? And then what if somebody isn't ready for a photo shoot? Like, they just don't have the budget right now, and they want to do something kind of low budget, shoestring budget, that's going to be easy for them to do, allow them to really get their personality out, but isn't going to be like, investing in a proper shoot right now. What are the options across the board for people if having photos is this important? How can we accommodate for everybody across the board? What are the options?
Yeah, definitely. So there are lots of options, especially with myself. If you're looking to have a proper shoot done, I offer 1 day and 2 day sessions, depending on where you are in your business journey and what you need. And if people are interested in finding out more about that, then they can they can find me on like my social media. Instagram's the best one, at ktn.co. And then you can start delving into stuff there, or drop me a DM and I can sort out the link to have a Calendly chat. We can jump on a Zoom and have a chit chat about what they're looking to do next. And then for those people that completely appreciate not everyone can make that investment initially, for those that need the good photographs but can't do that yet, I offer some training to help you DIY it. I call it either nail your selfies, or maybe a little bit of a rebrand going on with it at the moment. It's going to be turn up the volume on your visuals. I've got a free training video that people can access, which will give them all the tips and information to be able to take their own photographs, but that are so much more than just a selfie. Just to be able to take branding photographs that are going to be a little bit more next level and just enable you to be able to do it yourself until you're ready to then take it the next step and have a professional shoot. And people can, again, find me on Instagram, drop me a DM, and I can send over that training. I don't know what word, I can't think off the top of my head what good word they could send me. Just ask for the training.
What, Katie, the word visuals.
Visuals.
Do you know what, guys? This is like, honestly, I have to say this, Katie. You are just absolutely fantastic at what you do. And I think that I know that there are a lot of people that actually have a shoot with you on their bucket list. But I think what is really freaking powerful is that you've created this system where anybody can access really good photos just through installing a few tips, techniques, and understanding what makes a good photo and how to DIY it at home. I think that's really freaking cool that you've put that together. And guys, go and get a copy of that. I've seen this training. It's really powerful. And it's just going to really, really help you. I remember at the start of my journey, right? I remember when I was putting together my brand. This was back when I was, it makes me cringe, Katie, so much when I think about the Power Mum branding that I was trying to create. But I think I had like the Power Mum Club and my audience were called Power Mums. Oh my God, I want to vomit in my mouth. But this is the thing, it's a journey, right? And I think for some people, when they're at the start and they're not solid on their brand, you still need great visuals, but you might not be solid that is your brand yet, and you're still learning and developing on that. And that's where DIY stuff can come in really well. And I did a couple of DIY shoots at the beginning, where I did things like walking up a country road with a laptop in hand. I sat on a car, did some fun stuff in the garden with pumpkins and all sorts of random bits and pieces. But I'll tell you what, the difference between doing that and actually, I had a proper DSLR camera, had friends taking photographs of me, I was trying. But the difference between that and actually working with you, I think the huge difference is having that objective viewpoint of your brand by an expert who is able to really bring out the feels in photography of how you want your brand to be portrayed, how you want people to feel, what your values are, what your message is. And that really, for me, is the huge power in getting a branding shoot. But if I would suggest that if you're in that place where you're not solid on your brand yet, you've still got some exploring to do, then the DIY stuff is perfect for you. And if you're like me, where you've got rebellious business kind of brand, where you're like, yeah, this is the message, this is the branding, it's not going to change, it's here to stay, this is the one, and you're like set on that, then a branding shoot isn't only going to help you represent your business online in the right way, it's going to really, really elevate it. I would say it 10x'd, it absolutely 10x'd or more my presence online, 100%. So yeah, it's fantastic. Go and grab those things. Just DM Katie on Instagram. We're going to change direction now. I want to talk about your business, Katie, and your journey, if that's okay. I want to ask you some questions about that. So first and foremost, let's dive straight into the failure, right? Because I love talking about this because it's something that people shy away from. It's something that can make our ego feel a bit uncomfortable, but failure is the number one thing that we learn from, right? It's the way that we learn how to eat. It's the way that we learn how to walk. It's the way that we learn how to speak. It's what makes kids so cute because they get things wrong all the time. And it's the way that we grow a business. And what I'm interested to know is what has been your biggest, and I know that you've got a great mindset, so you're not going to actually look at any of these as failures as such, because you know that all of these are growing points, etc. But if you had to pick one, what would you say has been the kind of biggest failure or the biggest kind of learning point from your business so far? Ooh. And you can go right back to the start, like right back to when you very first picked up that camera.
Oh gosh. Well, yeah, that was a while ago. I mean, there's been, at the time, you don't necessarily think it's like too bad or whatever. But I think probably the biggest thing that I've learned from is that because I didn't know how to access the information or anything at the time. But literally, I thought the only option for me, I started working, a long way back, I started working in a photo lab just as like a Saturday girl. And then I worked there almost full time after I left university. And that's where I started in photography. I ended up managing their photo studio. And then I wanted to go freelance. I wanted to become my own self-employed photographer. And I thought the only option for me to do that was to be a wedding photographer. That was kind of what was touted as the way to make money. That's where the money is. The money is in the weddings, because that's where you can charge. I mean, back then, I think my first wedding, I think I got paid like £500, which just makes me just like gasp now. I'm like, Jesus, you didn't make any money off of that. But yeah, that's what it was back then. It's only like over the years, as I've seen how photography's changed, that now people charge thousands and thousands of pounds, even just for family photo shoots. But at the time, if you wanted to make money, if you wanted to be a self-employed photographer, it was doing weddings. So I just did that. And I don't know that I've always said I've had a love-hate relationship with wedding photography. And I don't know that ever was my true passion. Like it used to make me have the most worst self-doubt ever doing weddings. I'd come back from it, just be like, oh my God, I forgot that shot, or I didn't do that right, or oh my God, they're going to hate it. And just used to feel sick sending off the photos afterwards. And so, yeah, not knowing, I guess I don't know how I would have changed that as a failure, because it's helped bring me to where I am now, as all failures do. But yeah, just not thinking bigger, I think, as to how I could have become a better self-employed photographer. I just went with what everyone kind of said that's what you did. I think we do at the start. We definitely go with what feels tangible. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because the things that are a little bit abstract, we can't get our head around them because we don't have a solid anchor for it, because it's not part of our experience. So mine was actually an eBay store. So yours was wedding photography. Mine was selling on eBay because I wanted a business, but it was the only tangible business that I could think of, like that made sense to me. Yeah. You buy a product, you sell a product, you have a profit margin. That's how it works. But then I think the thing is that you, over the years, and especially through your own business, and the growth that you made within being a wedding photographer, started to understand business and started to understand branding. And, you worked as a photographer for an education company for many years, going to branding retreats and things. And your knowledge for that grew over time. So really and truly, you wouldn't have been able to be a brand photographer at the start because you didn't understand branding back then. And that's the beauty. This is how businesses evolve, isn't it? Because they evolve with us. We grow, we learn, we change, we adapt, we evolve. And therefore the business does too, because the business is only as large or is only as intricate
intricate. I love that word then. Is only as intricate as our brain is, right? Because that's where it comes from. It comes from our own minds. And if our own minds have only grown to a certain point, then our own business will only grow in depth to that certain point. So it's really interesting phenomenon that, things evolve. And I think it still will for you, Katie. There's another leg of your journey unfolding just now, which is public speaking.
Yes, you're right. That's starting
public speaking unfolding for you. Now, if you go back to thinking about photography at the start, you can't tangibly see how photography and public speaking are related.
No, that's very true. And even up until but a couple of years ago, which is I can credit to starting to work with you and having you as my coach, I would not even have ever thought, not even ever been able to dream possible. I don't think it was a dream. It's just who on earth is going to want to listen to what I, Katie Needle, has to say about photography? Surely everybody knows it. I just would not have had the confidence to have done that. So it's only through your coaching over the last couple of years that's made that way more of a reality and got me to the point now where you get to look back and then look over your business journey, don't you? But I'm truly 100% happy in my business now. And and now I can also see I've now got enough experience. I've been doing this long enough now that I can now see the benefits of everything I've been doing. When you're just in it early on and you're trotting along, you're just this doesn't work. Everyone keeps saying, just keep trying, consistency. And it's only now that I can truly say, do you know what? They're right. Consistency does pay off.
It pays off because it's a compound effect. Yeah. And it's a compound effect because everything you collect and everything you learn and in every way you grow as you go through that journey compounds because it combines a lot of different things as it grows. And it's pretty exciting. I find it so fascinating, if I'm honest. But, I had just had a flashback as you were speaking just then. I had a flashback to our first coaching session. and what we do on these coaching sessions is we're throwing ideas around and all this kind of stuff. And I remember one of the ideas, and let me know if you remember this. One of the ideas was that you could become a teacher of photography and have a YouTube channel where you were teaching the basics of how to use a camera and stuff. And I remember you didn't feel quite aligned with that idea. But what's really interesting is even though you're not teaching people how to use a camera, you are growing into becoming a teacher, right? And that's why you're doing all this public speaking around, how to ramp up your visual, turn up the volume on your visuals and also branding and all of that kind of stuff. Becoming kind of teacher of being able to really get yourself out there and stand out. And it's just so interesting and so fascinating to see how that journey's unfolded since, that first conversation around where could we grow this to? How could we create more of a passive income? What products could we create that don't require you to just be out with a camera in your hand and therefore you're trading your time for money? And I can see really clearly now how that is going to be more and more a possibility for you.
Yeah, it's exciting, definitely. We probably need to jump on another coaching call then to chat more about that.
Yeah, 100%. We definitely do. Okay, last question for you, Katie. If you could go back to the start and you could visit Katie picking up a camera for the first time and going to these wedding gigs, what advice would you give to her?
Oh, it's the old cliche probably, isn't it? But honestly, just keep going. Trust in the moment and trust in the process because it does all come good. And always listen to your gut because I do have a good gut and I doubt it often. But yeah, I do have a good gut. So listen to your gut, Katie, because it all pays off.